Which conspiracy theory is so believable that it might be true? That your phone's microphone is constantly hot and it's listening for keywords to target advertising. Most glaring instance where this happened to me was when I walked into a colleague's office. He had just gotten a standing desk, but one that goes on top of his existing desk rather than a standalone, pun? Comma model. That's important to note. I said nice standing desk. When did you get that? Full stop. Thanks. Just today. He replied. That was literally all that was said about the desk. We talked about work related stuff and as I walked out and checked my phone, there was an ad on Facebook for that exact model of standing desk. I have never owned one, wanted one, or googled one before. Yet there it was on my feed. Tinfoil hat be damned. They listen in. Michael Jackson was chemically castrated by his father to preserve his soprano singing voice, which was the source for his infatuation with children. All rocks are soft until you go to touch them. That there are hundreds of companies that operate tens of thousands of Reddit accounts each. They have been auto-rigging these accounts for years. Use scripts to auto-post and comment and have humans that shift through all the accounts to make various comments to maintain these accounts. These companies have the ability to control and game their way to the front of Reddit. Huge brands use them. Special interest groups use them. Political parties use them. It's not a conspiracy. The ballistic missile threat that was sent to Hawaiian cell phones saying, "Seek shelter, this is not a drill," that was later deemed a mistake, was a real missile that was intercepted before impact. Dyson purposefully made the cable shorter over time just before announcing the cordless version. My DC01 has a 12 meter flex, my DC14 has a 6.5 meters flex. They purposely made the flex shorter to be an inconvenience and make people want the cordless version. Darth Jar Jar was 100% planned and hinted at in TPM. But the sheer amount of hatred for the character made Lucas back down. I actually wish he went through with the original vision. Memes about the NSA and other spy programs are encouraged by the very agencies spying on us. The rich orchestrated the recession back in 2008 to take advantage of the market. Miley Cyrus's crazy streak was all a carefully planned marketing scheme to get her solidified as an A-list celebrity. I believe it was done to make Disney completely cut ties with her and kill the image of Hannah Montana. It's worked too. Hannah Montana was quite possibly Disney's largest TV show ever. But I haven't seen anyone even mention it for over 4 years now. And despite Disney cashing in on old IPs, Aladdin, Kim Possible, Lion King etc., we have yet to even hear an unsubstantiated rumor regarding Hannah Montana. The Vatican holds horrible dark secrets and many answers to existential questions. And that Area 51 is a publicity stunt by the government to hide the real testing facility. YouTube in a mobile browser is so shitty so they can force you to use the app and not use an ad blocker. Long John Silver's is some kind of money laundering scheme on the basis that they have been open for as long as I can remember, but I have also literally never seen a busy Long John's. Toxic delusion that I ironically entertain? Some organization group of people wanted all the Kennedys dead for some reason. Semicolon. Edit. The term conspiracy theory and its poor connotation was created by the US government specifically for skeptics of the official JFK assassination story. Just felt I should put that out there. The president of the Philippines, Duterte, is very anti-drugs to hide his own involvements with drug cartels off which he makes billions. That the CIA post this question every time so they know what the general public suspect. The Laurel Canyon conspiracy. Basically, if you look at the counterculture revolutionaries in the music industry in the 60s, most of them were the children of military intelligence people. So the theory is that the free love, lots of drugs movement they inspired was done intentionally to distract the youth from a full-scale revolution. The thought was if the angry youth of the mid to late 60s were too high and getting laid all the time, they would stop caring as much about societal ills and then basically sleepwalk through the 70s. Which they did. I stumbled upon this when I was reading up on Jim Morrison and how his father was the one who called in the fake strike at the Gulf of Tonkin that kicked off the Vietnam War. And which was shown later to have been a false flag. Turns out, a lot of his contemporaries were also children of highly placed military people with ties to intelligence. Strange that they all wound up in Laurel Canyon as part of the same movement. Apple started the meme about AirPods being expensive as a marketing ploy. The value of expensive art is just as a pseudo-currency for rich people to subtly buy drugs or other illicit things. Cops go on wars and leave random police sightings to cause people to slow without actually having to stay and check on people. One guy actually posted on Reddit that he did this so that his traffic duty was easier. It's better than giving tickets. Edit. There are states that have banned ticket quotas. I don't have time to type it all out right now. But the entire situation surrounding the construction and operation of Denver International Airport is strange. Even by non-conspiracist standards. Have fun in the rabbit hole. The recommended food pyramid is created by the FDA. But the FDA is funded by a lot of certain food industries. Poultry, dairy, etc. They in turn made the recommended nutrition based off of their funding by these companies. And not based on a well-balanced diet. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. I would never trust the CIA. The government experiments on the mentally insane because no one will believe someone with that kind of medical history. I feel like people overlook the fact that the government actually did experiments on Americans and FK'd at least one of them up so bad that he moved to the middle of the woods and started mailing bombs to people. The Reddit search function is intentionally bad, or not purposely bad, but they know how to fix it but refuse to encourage more new posts. This is going to get buried. But smartphone batteries. Remember when phones used to have removable batteries and now almost none of them do? A law enforcement agency could make you think that your phone is powered off when in reality it's just displaying a black screen. That way they could still track you. Listen to your conversations and take pictures. You would never know for sure. There's a huge conspiracy among the wealthy and elite to kidnap and or pay children. We've gotten close to it. Epstein. Jimmy Savile. The decades of credible rumors out of Hollywood. In recent years with Me Too and the congressional harassment epidemic, one would hope the real story can come out. The Phantom Cosmonaut conspiracy. Pretty much. The short story is that Yuri Gagarin is not the first man to go to space but the first one to go and come back alive. The oil and coal industries invested heavily in killing off nuclear power as an attractive alternative. These days we have reactor designs many times safer than other methods of generating power. And the waste issue is something that could be fixed with sufficient investment. Multiple football World Cups have been influenced either by governments hosting them or other entities out for their own gain. 2002 South Korea, Japan, and 1978 and Argentina are the two most obvious ones that come to mind. It's well known that international sports, including soccer and the Olympics, are huge septic pools of corruption. That Big Bread paid toaster manufacturers to put in a setting that is too high so that people would burn their toast. I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory at this point. But a lot of people still don't acknowledge that your internet searches and social media profiles are absolutely being used as training models by major IT companies. I was a drunk college student and had access to them to run our e-training. If you still think you're off the grid, you're an idiot. Being frank, it's not a big deal if you don't have dark tea to hide. Those people are too busy building the new technological world to give a tea that you look at midget PRN. But don't delude yourself to think people don't have access to anything you do on the internet. I've always found it very plausible that Hitler didn't kill himself in the bunker and instead fled to South America. Let's look at what we know about his death. With Germany on the brink of defeat and Russian forces closing in, Hitler shoots himself in a bunker hours before they arrive. German soldier then drag the bodies of him, his wife, and his dog into the front yard and burn them beyond recognition. The bodies are positively ID'd by dental records provided by the Nazi Party. Given the fanatical devotion the Nazis has to Hitler, it is extremely possible that they would have been willing to shoot and burn body doubles and alter the dental records of the corpses to match Hitler and his wife. Meanwhile, Hitler would have been evacuated to a country where he could lay low and take on a new identity. My guess would be Argentina, who fostered multiple high-ranking Nazi officials. Close bracket. I'm not saying he couldn't have also just shot himself in the bunker, but the whole thing always felt fishy. Mattress firms aren't only holding mattresses, buddy. After reading about this on Reddit, I got to thinking. Once I needed a new bed, I decided to check it out. I went in and was approached by two salesmen. They had this $499 mattress that I really liked. The sales guy saw the twinkle in my eye and knew that I must have this mattress. I told him I liked it, but I needed something more budget friendly. I was a broke ass at the time. He then said, well, we can do this one here on the floor for $950. I told him, to be honest, I only have $400 to spare. He says, hold on a minute while I make a call. Then comes out and says, okay, we can do $400. Just come back in an hour while we prep it. I left, came back, and they even helped me lift it up to my truck. Honestly, the best mattress I've ever owned. I get compliments all the time. Edit. My top comment is about a Refkin mattress now. The idea that genetic services like 23andMe may be selling records to the government and or insurance companies. There have been cases of criminals being caught with genetic information like this. Citation needed. So it's not much of a stretch that other agencies could acquire it as well. Women's pants pockets are significantly smaller than men's pants pockets to encourage us to buy handbags and purses. Amelia Earhart was taken prisoner by the Japanese. There's another theory that she crashed on an island and starved to death. A skeleton from around the right time period was found, I think, and the flesh was eaten by coconut crabs. Really upsetting imagining a horde of giant monsters ripping her flesh off. Edit. A word. Edit 2. I didn't say the crabs ate her alive, I'm saying they might have eaten her body after she died. Possibly from starvation exposure. Car companies killed cheap public transit. They bought up the trolleys and streetcars in major American cities and made them all go out of business to promote automobile sales. Phantom cosmonauts. Yuri Gagarin may not have been the first person in space. The theory is that Yuri is just the first to come back alive, come back at all. There are dead people out there in space, or their spaceship came back down and burned in the atmosphere. The biggest trouble I have with this one in the US faking the moon landing is that the US, or Soviet Union, in the case of the moon landing, has a lot to gain from discrediting their rival's space program, since it calls into question their missile delivery abilities and thus their ability to ensure parity and mutually assured destruction. Not to mention the additional prestige hit of being the government that sent people into space to die. I don't see how that adds up unless you're a particularly ruthless conspiracy theorist and believe the USSR were in cahoots the whole time. That Flight 93 was shot down by an F-16 and the story about the crew struggling to regain control was manufactured for propaganda purposes. It's very believable to me that the military would shoot down a hijacked plane they had every reason to believe was headed for Washington, D.C. Especially since it was after the WTC crashes, and them being fully aware they were dealing with a coordinated terrorist attack. Also, the wreckage is FK'd. It doesn't look like it crashed. It looks like it was obliterated. Edit. Spelling. Shane Dawson's accusaries are paid PR pieces. He gets paid to make people look as good as possible. They're all fake, heavily edited puff pieces that the subjects pay him for. It's a win-win for everyone involved. Shane gets the views and the subjects get good PR. It'd actually shock me more if it wasn't true. The Queen of England is a cannibal. Prince Philip is a Horcrux. Probably because she is vaccinated. Russian government is influencing extremists of all sides and factions of many countries, America included, to create dissent and weaken the European Union and the Western world. The official story of 9/11 isn't what happened. Okay. No one will mention 9/11? It's entirely possible the US government staged all that to have public support on the Middle East invasions. JFK accidentally shot by his own Secret Service agent who turned round when Lee Harvey Oswald fired. Doesn't exonerate Oswald. Explains why there was a cover-up. And fits the ballistic report way better. Trump-Russia collusion. There's no way all of these opinion pieces are wrong. That Khloe Kardashian is O.J. Simpson's daughter. Also, she looks nothing like her sisters. One of my favorites is that the government was behind Throwback Thursday in order to get us to digitize and upload pictures that they would not have had access to in order to improve age progression facial recognition algorithms. The only one that makes sense to me is that we might already have cures or improved treatments for cancer and they are being suppressed by the big drug companies so that they don't lose income. Not saying I believe it, but it seems the most possible. I don't think it wise to underestimate corporate greed. Nah. It would be more profitable to sell a cancer cure at a jacked up price and then get back to selling that patient Viagra and Lipitor than to run patients into the ground with chemo. The thing with cancer is that each case is different, so there will probably never be a monolithic silver bullet cure. But new monoclonal antibody therapies are changing the game for some specific cancers already, and CAR T-cell therapy, taking a patient's immune cells, engineering an artificial antigen receptor and reintroducing back into the patient, is incredibly promising. Mattress firm money laundering scheme. I can't possibly imagine why else there would be several around town in close proximity that never ever have business. PETA is run by leaders of the meat industry and they purposely make the organization seem crazy in order to take away credibility from the vegan and anti-meat eating movements. There is no way PETA is actually so insensitive it would mock Steve Irwin. Radical feminism and SJW groups that try to grab as much attention as possible. Red Starbucks, video game hate drama, etc. are just groups created by big corporations to draw people's attention away from the real crimes that corporate is committing. Comet Ping Pong and D.C. is a pedophilia ring disguised as a pizza joint. The real reason Apple removed the headphone jack was to try to remove Square systems as a competitor for Apple Pay. Edit. First gold comment. Thanks guys. Charles ordered a hit on Princess Diana which led to her death because she was soiling the reputation of the Windsors by being a filthy liberal peasant. No one who was actually responsible for the vehicular harassment that led to crash was charged. And Charles is a CNT. Secret pardons applied where necessary. The USA won't legalize drugs because the CIA has a major monopoly on them and makes too much money from it. Toby is really the Scranton Strangler. Eating Tide Pods gives you special powers. You have to already be special to eat Tide Pods. That the US knew 9/11 was coming and carried out controlled explosions at the base of the World Trade Centers to be used in an event that the buildings looked as if they might topple and hurt more individuals than just those in the buildings. I don't think the US orchestrated the plane part of it. I am not even sure the president knew it was coming. It may have been kept so secret only the leader of the operation and agents that planted the bombs knew it was coming. But I believe they blew the foundations to stop the buildings hurting any more people, and for that reason they must have known the target buildings and the plan. How many people would need to be involved in this to be achievable? The killer clown sighting conspiracy. Remember all of the crazy clown sightings in the woods? Which happened conveniently just before the latest Stephen King's It movie came out 2017. It started a ploy to popularize scary killer clowns again before the movie came out. Birds aren't real. When the government shuts down, there's no birds, only Canadian geese. That Pokemon Sun and Moon stuff was leaked on election day to distract young adults from voting. JFK shot first. Alex Jones is an actual gay frog pretending to be a reptilian disguised as a human. The 3-point shot was invented to give white guys a chance. The Dodgers' bipolar son actually killed his mother and OJ covered it up. Lucas changed his story for the prequel. All the hate for Jar Jar making him go against H's original idea of making him the Sith antagonist of the whole series. Bob Vance was just trying to plug his business to the cameras every time he introduced himself. The vault of Fort Knox is empty, not full of gold. I have a theory that the world did end in 2012. But not the way everyone thinks. Kris Jenner plotted this whole Tristan Thompson and Jordan Woods scandal because the new season of Keeping Up with the Kardashians is airing soon. The devil may work. But Kris Jenner works harder. Sometimes I really believe the rumor that Avril Lavigne died in 2003 and was replaced by her double. Other times I think it's complete BS. Depends on the day. Edited because she died? In 2003. Heathrow Airport didn't have any drones flying around. Something big was about to go down and they needed a reason to shut down the airport without causing mass hysteria. Edit. Gatwick. My mistake. Roman Reigns doesn't have cancer. And the whole thing is a stunt to get him over so the fans will actually cheer him. That Snowpiercer is the sequel to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Stevie Wonder is not blind. All social media platforms are a direct result of Patriot Act and are used to keep tabs on everyone. Hence the billions of users. With algorithms to keep you addicted to the constant information and the dopamine inducing likes. Wouldn't that also include Reddit?